Yo, Counterattack podcast with myself. That guys keep liking, subscribing, sharing. I know you guys have been asking for me. Well, you guys in America have been asking for another Shot of MLS podcast, and we've got one for you. It's been a bit busy for me, so I haven't been able to get around to getting the players, but we've got a really, really good player for you today. We've got a well-known player for you. We've got a well-liked player for you, and obviously, my normal audience in the UK, you're going to know this player as well because he has had some time in the UK. But yeah, without any further ado, let me introduce you to Kei Kamara. Woo!
I was hoping there would be some music in the background as you
No,
say
no,
that.
no, no, no,
You
no.
know,
The budget ain't there. The budget ain't there for that one yet.
you can get like Idris Elba doing a little bit of like mix, like spin, when you
Yeah, no,
introduce
no,
me.
no.
But thanks,
The budget
man.
ain't
It's
there.
it's amazing. Thank you so much for having me, and I love the intro, man. You said a really good player. I was like, what?
Yeah, what you don't think you're a good player? Listen, with the amount of contracts you've had, you must be doing something right.
You work hard, man. You work hard. No, there's no other options.
Yeah, no, just trust me. It's not easy in this life, man. So yeah, no, thank you very much for coming. Obviously, you're with Chicago Fire this year, and before we get into everything, like, how have you found this season? How are you this season, and just how are things going for you?
It was good. Transitions never easy. Again, I've played for too many teams in MLS, as everybody would say. And this year I joined the Chicago Fire and playing for the Fire for the whole season. It was ups and downs. It's not that easy. One, when your coach gets let go early in the season, or you guys could say Gaffa.
Yeah,
When the Gaffa gets
Gaffer.
let go earlier in the season. So after 10 games into the season, so it kind of took us a little bit hard to kind of really figure out ourselves, but we hit a nice little run just before the MLS All-Star break. We had 5 games in a row that was really good, but after that break, we kind of just started going back down, so we didn't end up making the playoffs. But for me personally, again, playing on so many teams in MLS, going to Chicago and just knowing what the history was really about getting into the playoffs. I wanted to make the playoffs to change that history. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do it. But, I appreciated the whole season, the players that I played with, alongside me, the younger players. You can see them growing fast. So it was a good season all in all.
Yeah, okay, because you mentioned that you guys did miss out on the playoffs and you really wanted to make that happen. What's the overall feeling like within the team in regards to missing out? And is it a thing where you guys felt like you could and should have really done better or more to reach those playoffs?
Oh, definitely, definitely. You want to make the playoffs. That's the only reason why you go into this. Again, our seasons are different than the seasons out overseas, Europe, everywhere. Where you're struggling to stay up, relegations, and all these kind of things. For us, it's the playoffs. At the end of the day, you want to make the playoffs because when you don't, right now, you're sitting at home for another extra month watching. Sometimes people might think, oh, you get a longer off season because you get to just sit and watch the other players play. But no, because for us in the locker room, you can feel it by the end of the season, by the last couple of games, the nervousness that we want to make it and the hopes. And going into the last game against New York City, again, it was a game where we win, we go in. So it's a tough game. You in New York City playing against New York City FC, also who's looking for a result to win, to go in. And so it was really difficult. It was really difficult. We weren't able to get that last result, but then you have to just go through it knowing, it's about 30 teams in the league. Not everybody's going to make it. You can't always just pinpoint on the last part of your season. What you can dwell on is the amount of games that you played during the season and what you could have done in those games that you barely, let slide. So if you would have gotten the results from those games, then you wouldn't have to be in a position where we needed 3 more points to make it.
Crazy. It's crazy how literally, like you just said, you just needed 3 more points. And when you look back at the season or just back at the team in more of like a reflexive mode, where would you say the team struggled, or what would you say really was the thing that really not let you guys down, but you you can look at that and be like, we could have done this better, and maybe we would have had like a better season.
Yes, I think really one again. I'm going to say I think the same thing happened to me actually when I went to Middlesbrough and the coaching change. It's not always easy. When a new coach comes in and then you guys trying to figure out yourself, figure out your system, and those type of way because mostly you always see when you get a new coach, you win the next few games. Players are trying to prove themselves. Players are pushing so hard but then you have to hit a groove where the system sinks into the mentality or the principles that the new coach brings in. I think for us that was really our struggle. We really never got there. We really never found ourselves in how we wanted to play, and because of that we were just battling through games and not really having any kind of solidarity to knowing how we're going to win this game. So we battled through a lot. And it shows from the locker room, the guys, how hard we're fighting through all the games and the results we're getting. But there's still, again, when you look at those, you have some home games, which in football or in any sports, you're always like, okay, home crowd, home games, we must win this. And if we had 4 or 5 of them that we didn't win, so again, like I said, one of those could have been enough for us.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And we spoke off camera about my time in Nigeria, and I remember one thing that really stuck out in Nigeria was that to win away, forget. You're, you're not winning on the way. But you mentioned now like the home advantage, but going away because it's such a big country and the teams are all over the place. How hard is it going away to get those results?
Oh man, yeah. You talk about Nigeria. I don't even want to start talking about national team and Sierra Leone and playing away and all these things. But here in America, I would talk about the league, the season, and that's the adaptation too. That's really difficult sometimes for players that comes from overseas and want to play in this league because we're not traveling in buses or coaches. We're traveling, on planes and flying, 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes it's coast to coast. You're going 6 hours or more. And so the adaptation and the time difference, and we play throughout the seasons, the summer, fall, winter. So adaptation is really, really difficult. And so I don't really feel as much pressure. There's a few stadiums, I have to be honest. There's a few stadiums you play away and you can feel how they play. For example, like New York Red Bull. You go in the New York Red Bull, they have this, the Red Bull system of just going to get you, press and go and fast game. And I don't see them doing that when they go away as much. So it's fun when you can play in those places because the game is different. Which we ended up winning over there in New York. We were able to contain them. So we don't really feel too much of that. But actually, I was watching and hearing all these things about England, where Liverpool Stadium is one of the craziest stadiums that everybody wants to cannot play. But in America, again, the crowds are growing in stadiums, but it's not that crazy that you think you can't win away. You could win away most of the time. So maybe there's 4 or 5 places I can say that becomes difficult because of the travel and the style of play that the team plays that makes it difficult for you to win there.
Yeah. So what's one of the furthest games that you would have had to travel to this season?
Here in Chicago, I want to say, farthest game we actually won. We went to Portland. We played in Portland, and that was definitely the farthest, which is good for us. Actually, we were just in the middle of the states, so we can go. We go east or west, being right here in the central. But I remember when I played, let's say for Vancouver Whitecaps, and then you have to travel all the way to New York or go into Toronto and Montreal. That's coast to coast, and it's a 3 hours difference and those kind of things. But another thing too, Daps, is the summer. Say the summer comes by and you go on to play in Houston, and you're playing in New York or you're playing in the West, and you're playing in Houston or Dallas or Austin, and the weather is twice as hot as where you're coming from. So you guys will be struggling when you do make that transition over here playing in this league.
Yeah, I can imagine because if you're saying it's hot, like I've been in New York quite a few times during the summer and it's hot. If you're saying
Yeah.
it's hotter than that, yeah,
So actually, I'll share something with you. Not this league, out of this league. So talking about the Heat playing for Sierra Leone, and just before the African Cup of Nations, before we're qualifying, we played a game in Nigeria. And this was the 4-4 result game. And I'll tell you exactly what happened in that game. Yeah. So the first half, I mean, these boys, the roster is just really good. Nigeria, we knew, this is going to be a
mm,
difficult game for us, and it's already 4-1. But I remember this, I mean, the players were like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. We're walking off the field going in at halftime, and I see all the Nigerian players, again, most of the boys are foreign and live foreign. I can see and feel how the heat of that first half is playing off on them as we're walking off. Guys are just
wow,
doing that. And in Africa, we're playing at 4 p.m.
yeah,
and it's hot. The sun is beaming. So I took that momentum into our locker room, our dressing room, and told the guys, they are fucked. That's what I'm telling them. I say, listen, they're dead. If we go out there, everybody just we're more Africans than they are. Is what I'm telling them.
yeah.
I'm not joking. I'm telling my boys in my locker room, we're more Africans than they are. Those guys are playing in Europe. Those guys are this. Let's go back out there. Let's get them. And that's how we went from that 4-4. I remember coming back onto that field. You can just see that bite in us that we didn't worry about the heat. We didn't worry about anything. We just want to outrun everybody else that was around us. And you can see when we got the next goal and everybody just, shoulders start to drop. And I didn't end up scoring, but I just know just being so vocal around my guys, I was able to pump some of all of them up. And we went to the next one and the next one, and they just kept going like this, bum, bum, bum. And I was like, so those things, the heat does work mentally, but at the same time, it's just because when you're not there mentally, your body just can't perform.
Yeah, I've got a very similar story to that one actually. So when I was in Nigeria, obviously it's hot anyway, but we had a game against Kano Pillars, and Kano is right up in the north of Nigeria, and it's just hot. We got there, I kid you not, and I was like a starter, week in week out starter. I couldn't play that game. I couldn't. In the warm up, remember I'm coming from England, London, like in the warm up.
Where the sun never shines.
Exactly. So I remember being in the warm up and then I felt dizzy and that's warming up. And I said, you know what? I can't do this. Like your energy just goes. And I never experienced anything like that before. And my boots, my feet were burning and I was like, yeah, nah. But
It
very
gets you, it
quickly,
gets you, but being a professional football, a professional soccer player, that's what or a professional athlete. That's where the mentality comes in. I believe, for myself, I've been playing this since 2006, so what, 18, 19 years now. My
crazy.
mental, strength of how I grew up in Africa really has pushed me through a lot of things. When you talk about MLS, again, I talk about the seasons and I talk about the different states we play in, but we also play in altitude. We go to some places like you play in Utah and Colorado when I used to play there, and it's higher altitude. So those are when I say a few places. So when teams come in and you can't breathe, it's like people say they go play in Mexico City and it's
Mm,
high elevation and you can't breathe. So when you go into these places too, right away that mentality kicks in to some people that's gonna say, okay, maybe they run for 30 minutes and then my chest, I can't breathe, I can't feel,
mm,
anything. And then when you're in that home team, you're seeing that from the other team or the other players. It gives you that, oh yeah, we're gonna take it to you today. Like you're not gonna do nothing, But seriously, I've been able to, I don't know how and why, but mentally able to tune that, whether it's hot, cold, or altitude, into a way to not let my opponent look at me and feel like they can take advantage of that.
yeah. And you know what? Fair play to you because, all I'm hearing is that I don't have mental strength. So, no, fair. No, but no,
You tried it. You tried it. You
no,
tried it. You were
I
there.
couldn't. I couldn't. And I love it. I love football and that, but I couldn't. Like my energy was gone. But yeah, no. Back to the MLS. Um, but for those people who we might want to ask you, like, you played for 10, 11? How many teams did you play for? 10. Right, you played for 10 teams in the MLS.
So
Also, the first
so far.
so far. I don't know. Is there some sort of announcement that you're saying so far? I don't understand what's
Well,
happening.
actually, yeah, because actually, when the season finished this year, it will be my last season with Chicago Fire. So definitely, will be looking to playing for my 11th team next year.
Oh, so is that confirmed? Like you're gonna?
That's confirmed. That's confirmed that I'll be moving from the Fire and yeah, moving to another team. I don't know yet or can say where I'm going to, but yeah, as the season finished, it was a 1 year deal that I had with them. It's a good year, really really good year. But yeah, I'm looking to you know I love this game, but I still haven't won an MLS championship yet. I want to win an MLS championship. I want to be in the championship environment and those because it's the twilight of my playing career, so I want to be able to feel that.
Your twilight has lasted about 10 years.
Wanko canoe, huh?
For real. Yeah, but it's interesting though, because you talk about the fact that you're going to another team now. Obviously, because of your age now, obviously I've seen you play, you can still do it. You're very fit and all that. But I know some people might look at that and just be like, they won't even look at, your actual fitness. They'll look at your age first, yeah. Like, what's that like for you in terms of like a time like now where you're gonna go look for a new team? What's it like trying to actually get that new team because
Yeah,
of the age factor?
that's hard. It's hard. I remember as footballers, or we used to think being a free agent is a good thing. I want to be a
Mm,
free agent so I can have all this rights to be able to do whatever I want. And it got to a point you don't want to be a free agent, because that's the sleepless nights that you're gonna have to think what or every time your phone buzzes, you want to know if it's your agent or if it's a team calling to check on you. So actually, I've been there for the past 3 years, just before the African Cup of Nations, where I didn't know what my next team was. And yes, it's a struggle. It doesn't matter how much you can play and how much you can run and how much you can this. So the age becomes a factor. But that's where, for myself, being in this league and dominating in MLS the way I've played, and even for this season, the people and the teams that have seen me play my 90 minutes or whatever minutes that I do play, they're like, how are you still doing what you're doing? Because
mm,
that's me. That's my bread and butter. I work hard. I'm always fit and, injury free. And the more I can do that, then, I always feel like I'm putting myself in a good position to not let people or teams try to, just differentiate me by age. Age is a
mm,
thing, definitely. For example, that's why leaving Chicago, it's more of we want to get a DP striker, that's a little bit younger than you, production wise and stuff like that. So definitely for me, it's one of those where I know how I used to produce, and I know how to still produce. And the marketing, football is about the business too, because you want to make sure, teams want to make sure that they're bringing players that maybe all the fans are following, all the fans love. But for me, again, it's not all about Kei must play, Kei must start, Kei is going to score. But I'm going to know my role. I know my role now, and if my role is coming off the bench and helping, the top striker on the team, that's what it is. But I'm going to produce. But it's going to be a tough off season, because I've been there before, where you're going to bed or you're waking up, you're working on your own and trying to figure out what's next for you.
Yeah, how do you just mentioned that, working on your own and everything. And one question I've actually got for you is, like, what keeps you going? How do you manage to maintain fitness in that time? Because, we've all been there where training with, I'm someone that I like pre-season because everyone's there and you got people to push you through and stuff like that. But when you're training by yourself, it's not the same and motivation ain't there. Like, how do you stay motivated to do
That's actually why I took that sip. I was like, drink a lot of orange Fanta. When you do,
that?
it keeps you going. Africa, man, Africa.
Mm,
That's where I go for my off seasons. I go to Sierra Leone. I spend my
mm,
off seasons in Sierra Leone. The food, the family, the heat. Um, I've always been there for my off seasons. I spend all the time there in training. I love to run. That's my one thing. So I'm mostly people that follow me on social media see I'm doing a long runs, like half marathons and stuff like that. So when I'm back in Sierra Leone, I'm doing a lot of runs. I'm on the beach running. I'm playing with some of the other players that play in Scandinavia because they have the same off seasons as us. So we go there, we train together, and I always come back in January and the right time to come back into preseason, and I come back, being fit. But that's really been my saving grace, going back to Sierra Leone every off season and being there and playing and eating the good food. It's really, really helped
Yeah.
because I can
Okay.
see how
Cool.
difficult it is. For example, when you're in England or you're, here in America, how because the weather now is changing, it's getting cold. Excuse me. People want to go into, the gym, or it's kind of hard sometimes. The motivation to go to the gym, to run on treadmills, or to do bikes and all that. But when you can have an outdoor, you have the sun, you have the beach, you have those things.
Yeah.
Definitely, it does motivate you. I hope it motivates you to get out there and go do it.
It absolutely does. And it's funny you mention Sierra Leone. I've got a friend of mine who plays for Nice. You know Jeremy Boga?
Okay, place for Nice.
Yeah, the Jeremy Boga. Yeah. So he was actually telling me yesterday or the day before to go to Sierra Leone for. He's going for Christmas. I don't know if I should
Okay.
even be saying that, but yeah. Anyway, he's like, oh, he's going to Sierra Leone for Christmas, and I should come. I was like, do you know what? I might actually do that. And then I looked at the prices. I was like, listen, I'm not on that Nice contract, I don't. Hey, listen, have you seen the prices to go to Sierra Leone?
It's this here we go. This is the video that I've been waiting to post for the government of Sierra Leone. So now you're about to get governmental. So you better not have me commenting on the prices of tickets to Sierra Leone.
No, no,
But
no,
they're
no, no.
ridiculous. They're ridiculous, and people are complaining, which is really true. And not only that, but they're even like raising taxes when you do arrive. We're the only country that actually have airport taxes when people arrive, and they have to pay extra airport tax, and they have to also pay on the ferry to go across. So it's not bringing tourism, it's not, and that's what we, when we be good role models of, and want ambassadors of our countries, and we want to speak good things about them. Just for example, like that, you saying that doesn't make me happy because you're like, oh yeah,
Mm,
maybe I can go, and you look at the price and you're like, oh wow.
listen,
So it's not friendly.
and for me to say that, I'm someone where if I have to pay a bit extra for a ticket, cool, I've got to pay a bit.
Sure,
But
sure, yeah, yeah,
when it gets
yeah.
to the unreasonable like part of it, I'm just like, you know what? No, it makes no sense. It actually makes no sense there for the price
Yeah,
of
but
the
that's
ticket.
that's what tourism. That's what tourism is. Tourism, you shouldn't be expensive to get to a place. You should spend the money while you're there.
Mm,
That would be the best way for people to do stuff because that's why I remember living in England. It's so easy jets to this to grab and just go
yeah.
some places, and they make it affordable for you to get there. Now you get there. I went to Geneva once, and it was super cheap to go to Geneva. It was
When you got
less
there,
than £100, and yeah, I mean, my missus went when we had a little break, and we got there, and I was like, oh, whoa, whoa. So
mm,
this African guy was keeping his pocket tight.
yeah. No, listen, it's not. I'm sorry because I'd love. I'm gonna go, but it's one of them ones where the planning has to make sense now because I'm not forking out that amount of money. Anyway, I could talk about that all day long because
Yeah, we can go on and on about these. Yeah, but it's definitely something I just saw also in Rwanda. No, in Kenya actually. Kenya was taking away visas for African residents. Everybody through Africa can visit, and that's what we should have. We can make it
mm,
fluid for people around Africa. It's for us to mingle, for us to be able to visit each other's countries and see improvements that we can do for our countries.
yeah, no, 100%. Do you miss playing international football?
I do, I do. I just retired, obviously, this year after playing for 15 years for the national team. It was everything. It brought me peace. It brought me happiness. Even if football wasn't going well, whether it was in England, here in America, but every time you get that international break and you go join the national team, the laughs that it brings you, around your brothers, you call them, around the country, the passion that you see from the fans running onto the field and everything. You score one goal or you guys win. I miss that. I miss that smell. But it was time. It was time for me. After 26 years, the country didn't make African Cup of Nations, and we're able to go there. And I played in that tournament. It was just the perfect time for me to say, okay, enough is enough. Because the struggles are the worst. The fun is always there, but the struggles that you struggle with the national team, which with playing in the youth of Nigeria or seeing the first team in Nigeria, they'll complain. Ghana, everybody complains, and that struggle is not good for us as footballers because our mental, whatever we go through mentally, it's already hard as is, and Africa don't really make it easy on us when we're playing for the national teams.
It's so, and just because of the platform, I'm not going to talk about some of the struggles because you know what it is. I don't like. We know what it is, but when you put it out on a platform like this, I don't want people to think, that's what, you know what I mean? But I'll tell you about some of the stuff outside of it. But
true.
Yeah, but I hear you, and it's just so unfortunate because if they were to get that right, the reward that they would reap would just like imagine the amount of people, the amount of players who qualify to play for a nationality but choose not to. Imagine how many of them would actually come in and play and then just better the nation. Like if they just got things right.
Well, that's why everybody else is doing it. I mean, you can see how strong the French national team is, The French, what should I call it? The French African All-Star team.
Yeah.
So no, but it's good. But it's also good where, we grow in these different countries as we do grow, for yourself being in England or me being here in America, I have my kids now in America and they'll have options if they want to be in sports or anything when they want to represent, a nation, because that's what really it is. It's migration. We all migrate to different places. And if one place is not doing it well, if one girl's not doing it well for you, what do? You find another girl, no?
Definitely. But we're happy. We're happy.
We're happy with the sign behind it. Help.
Yeah. But no, what I will say in terms of your family, what role does having a family play in regards to picking your next team? Or just picking a team in general, because what people might not understand is that they see you going from place to place to place and just forget that away from the pitch, you have a whole life, a whole family. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's that been like trying to juggle family life and juggle football and, having to maybe uproot them sometimes? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, first I'll say actually, well, having a family or having a girl, which like your girlfriend or a fiance or a wife, and then having kids makes everything better. It makes your life as a footballer, as an athlete, so much better, almost complete, because the stress that we just talked about, the football gives you, you're able, whenever you walk off, say you have a child, whenever you walk off the field and you see them, that smile, you almost forget about everything else. It brings you so much joy. And even to be at home, yes, there's a positive and negative sometimes, to be at home, you keep your mind so much away from it. But, sometimes, let's say that stress from football brings back to your house. It's not, that easy. But it's not all like bad. Again, when you have the right family members around you, that really does help you choose. Because now if I want to move my family, it's always tough because it's, for me, I have 3 kids. So having 3 kids and having to take them out of school, to move them to a different state, a different, city, a different country for school, it's very, very difficult. Some people have younger families that they don't have to worry so much about that. But you definitely weigh a lot of things. It wasn't just one of those where I was a young player, team calls you like, yeah, sure, it's a good city, I'll go. Now definitely it's weighing where, okay, oh, is that a good city? Can I save money having a house over there? Is it friendly? Is the school system good? Can my whole family come? And what's the team talking about? Are they talking about something that will be beneficial for me and my family? Or is it just one of those, it's just you? So it does weigh a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how you do it, but you know, like you said, you've got a good support system, so I'm sure that helps now. And are you currently, obviously, you're with Chicago or was with Chicago officially, but did you like uproot everyone to Chicago?
So Chicago, the good thing about being in Chicago again, that's why when I left Montreal last season, I moved to somewhere closer. I wanted to be closer to the family. Was either I was bringing my family to Montreal, or I was moving from Montreal, and then I got to trade from Montreal. Then I came to Chicago, which was just 1 hour flight from Kansas.
Oh, okay.
So it was so much easier. So I kept my family in Kansas, and my wife, my kids in Kansas, and they'll make it over the weekends to visit me in Chicago, or I'll go to Kansas,
Yeah.
just an hour trip. So it wasn't bad. It was like, again, it was just like being up. Actually, that was a longer drive if I was say being in Middlesbrough. No, it's like being in London, being in Norwich, playing in Norwich, and all the weekends, the day off, I'm straight to London to Peckham to see the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your time in England, yeah. How much did you? First of all, the question I want to ask is that obviously, like England is seen as the holy grail of football, right? So knowing that, obviously you've got family here in England, but knowing that a boy that came from Sierra Leone went to America, he's now played in America and he's played so well that teams in England have now come and booked. Like, what was it like for you when you first heard that? Oh my gosh, I'm actually going to play football in England.
Just like that. Oh my gosh, I'm actually going to go play football in England. That's what it was like. I played in MLS the whole time. When I started representing Sierra Leone, it wasn't my dream to play in England. My dream was to play in France.
Okay,
And the reason why, again, it was because of all the Africans that played in France. Being in college, because I went to high school, I went to secondary school and college in America. And then being in college, I remember watching games. I mean, it was watching the French league. Mohamed Kalon, who's the biggest name from Sierra Leone, played in France. Again, played in Italy, but played in France. And when he played there with the Adebayors and all these guys.
Yeah.
So being in MLS, and when I started representing Sierra Leone, actually it was when some of the people in Sierra Leone was saying, "Oh, we want to see you play in England. We want to see you play in England. We can't see MLS games. We can't see MLS games." And I was like, okay. We'll push. We'll try to be good enough so teams can come knocking. And I remember I was in preseason. It was in February. I was in preseason when my agent called me and said, "Hey, Norwich is thinking about getting you over on loan." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he said, "This is it." I was actually not training that week because I had a groin injury. So I was in training and they called us. I was in Arizona for preseason and they called me. It's like, "Norwich." That day I went outside for a run.
Oh, yeah. It must work by force.
I need to test the groin. Just ready. So he called me and said, "Yeah, it's like, it can work right away. It can work anytime." I was like, couldn't believe it. From that day, within 3 days' time, the deal went through. So I remember being in Norwich. I don't even want to know how I ended up going to England and being there. But I remember being in Norwich and actually one of the coaches now, Russ Martin came to me one day and asked, "Why?" Russ was like, "Why are you always happy? Why?" I was like, "I'm in England, man. I'm playing in the English Premier League. I'm playing in the biggest league." Because I had this smile on my face. I mean, my happiness all day, every day, all the stuff. But it was, it was a locker room that was so good. Russ and Snodgrass and Grant Hall and Bennett and all these guys. That's all they could ask me. I mean, I'm going to train. Yeah.
Did you play with Bradley Johnson?
I play with Bradley.
Oh, but no, Bradley, like me and Brad are like literally like okay.
Yeah, I played with Bradley. I asked Bradley about it, man. They were just like, "Ty, why are you always just happy, man?" And I was just like, and I was telling them like, "Man, I'm playing in England, man. Like, you guys don't believe, like, you're waking up as a kid watching the Prem, watching Drogba, bang goals and this and that. And now I'm here." And the winter before I actually went there, I went to visit. And I went to Manchester Stadium. I'm a Chelsea fan, everyone, just so you know that. But I ended up at Manchester Stadium, Old Trafford, to watch a game. It was a Europa game, Europa Champions League. Sorry,
Mm.
no, yeah. So I was watching this game. I was sitting up there watching this game, just in my head, just dreaming like, what if one day, what if? But I was already what, 29, and you don't think at that age you're gonna make it there, you know? And I was just
Mm.
like, man, it would have been so amazing to be here and play. And just months later, I was there, and I remember we were playing Norwich against against Manchester United, and I had come off the bench, and I stood back on that field, and I looked straight up to where I was sitting, and just like dreams do come true. Like you can really achieve it if you dream it.
Yeah, 'cause I can imagine that times like that where you're just like, it's just so
Yeah,
surreal. It
yeah.
must be so surreal because, and then obviously, like you had your time at Norwich, you had your time at Middlesbrough,
Yes.
and then was Middlesbrough? I might,
In the chat,
no, but was it Karanka?
Karanka. Well, first it was Tony. When I first got there, it was Tony Pulis.
Mm,
And
mm,
then yeah, 3 months later, Tony left, and assistant took over, and then the next season, Karanka came over, and
mm,
after that season was done, one more season, then they got promoted
yeah.
to the Prem.
So
Yeah.
so when you obviously had your time at Middlesbrough as well, and then there was a whole thing with Wolves, but then obviously you was meant to go to Wolves, but did I read right that
How do
because
you know about that?
what do you mean? Is there in it? Is there?
I don't even think it was public.
I thought it was public. I don't know. You were meant to go to Wolves, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because it's never been out there. I've never read any articles about it.
Oh, it's there. It's there. Don't worry about it. It's there in it. But
Really? Wow.
yeah. So you but then something about the whole work permit. I mean, yeah, the work permit. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I thought
wait,
it
what
was.
was?
I didn't think that was public. You know.
You know, I'm that guy. No, I wish I was. I wish I was. But no. On a real though, I didn't even know that went public. But what was that like, knowing that a move to Wolves was going to come, but the only thing to scupper it was your work permit not being granted because of Sierra Leone's rank?
Yes.
How crazy is that?
Yeah. Well, that's what people in Sierra Leone or the federation needs to know, that the ranking of the national team does affect a lot of players' success overseas. You know,
Mm,
being there and playing, and I went to Wolves. It was good training sessions that I had, actually, and they were very interested in it. I remember after one training, they just called me up to the office, which, what's this? All right, we're working on a deal to go through. Would you like to? I was like, yes, let's make this happen. And they came back hours later. And I was like, oh, Sierra Leone just dropped because we were 50. We had ranked the highest ranking when I actually went
mm,
there before. We had ranked the highest ranking 50 in the world, and all of a sudden we dropped to 71st, 71. And I was just like,
mm,
oh, wait. I was like, but I've already been here. They're like, no, because you're signing a new deal. And this. And I wasn't mad, to be honest with you. I was not mad, because I had on the other side of the phone, I had Columbus Crew calling me to say,
mm,
hey, we're trying to do something new in MLS, and you've been so great in the league, and we'll love, you're like the piece of the puzzle that we need over here to help
mm.
us. So I was like, so the 1 minute it's not working, I was like, oh, it's okay, thank you, here I
It's
go.
okay. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. But one thing I did want to ask you again, you mentioned Columbus Crew. I read that you went via the allocation system or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a
what
lot
does
of
that even
that's MLS terms that you're not going to understand.
what does that even mean?
Oh, it's MLS terms you're not going to understand, but you have to follow like American sports to know those things, you know, basketball, football, because when you come out of college, you get drafted, you know, so
Mm,
we have a draft system. And usually the draft system goes, the worst team in the league gets the first pick.
mm,
So you can strengthen your team. So
mm,
then if a player is coming from overseas, again, they have a system that you have to go through for whatever team can get that chance to pick you up first.
mm,
Everybody gets a chance, you know, when it becomes to some of us for allocations, because I was leaving the MLS. I got bought, Middlesbrough bought me just leaving the MLS and I was playing for Kansas City. So Kansas City let go of my rights and I'm gone. But then whoever was behind them would then have my allocation or then have my rights if I decide to come back to MLS. So I
Okay.
can't just come back and say I'm going anywhere. Before you
Yeah.
go to that next team, maybe a trade has to be done. Say now Columbus had to make a trade with, let's say maybe the next person on that list was FC Dallas. So they have to give Dallas something so they can get my allocation right. So I'll be able to go there.
That is crazy.
You play Monopoly?
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Okay, no, man, that is crazy, man. But you know, it works out in the end, and you know, you've had a great career in MLS, and I just want to ask you, Landon Donovan, that that record, yeah,
Landon Donovan, my favorite American footballer. I respect him so much. So it's an honor to be next to him. It's an honor to be compared to Landon for what he did playing this game, going overseas, playing and coming back and dominating MLS. So I think maybe that's why I haven't scored that one goal to go over him, because I just love just being compared to him, you know, because again, he's a great. He's a GOAT, you know, for the U.S. soccer system, and I'm just a kid from Sierra Leone. I'm just a kid from Kenema. To be able, you know, to be compared to a player like that, it's good for me.
Oh, so you don't want that goal then?
Well, I'm going to play another season, so unless I pick everything over the bar, but it'll be a good story. It'll be a good story either way to, you know, to say when that happened, you know, to say, hey, Kei Kamara leaps over land. Oh, it's just, it's a blessing, really. It's a, you know, that, you know, when you're young. Like, for example, when I played against, you know, Thierry, when I played against Drogba, like when I saw those guys at games, when they give me hugs and they talk to me and we stand there after the game and talk for a little bit, I'm just in shock. Like, are you really talking to me? You talking? I remember Drogba. This was one. I was in Columbus. I retired from the national team before, and Drogba was talking to me because again we played Ivory Coast, and I didn't know what my impact really was. And he came to me like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I can't deal with it. The federation." It's like, we're not playing for the federation. You're playing for people. Your people need you. You know, when we play, you know, when Ivory Coast plays Sierra Leone, this, we're worried about you. You're the one that gets the team. This man talked to me in a way. I'm not lying to you. When they called me back up and said to go back for the national team, I was on the plane because I realized what he meant. Because this is somebody that stood for his country, stood for football during the war and everything. And he told me it's not about the federation. It's about the people. It's about, you know, the team. So go back, go help them. They need you. So
And
when
you
I
know
played
what?
in MLS, yeah, go ahead.
It's not until you go there that you realize just what football means to people there. And I try to tell people that here, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And I'm saying like, "Nah, football, it legit is the one thing that can just like the whole mood of the nation can rest upon football."
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Like, and I remember going back there and seeing it. Like, it's their life. So when you tell me that story, I get it. I actually get it. Like, you know, you just have to.
It's religion. It's football is its own religion, man. Football is its own religion. And I'm so happy. Again, I had the choice to play for the US, being an American, or play for Sierra Leone. And I'm so happy I chose to play for Sierra Leone. People always ask, "Oh, but you could have made a lot more money and this." I say, "Yeah, but look now, I have my foundation in Sierra Leone, Heart Shape Hands Foundation, where I help kids. And this, I would have never done that. I don't know how it would have been. I would have never been as happier when I play overseas. Like I said to you, my off seasons I spend it in Sierra Leone. I probably would have never been, you know, went to Sierra Leone even more if I didn't represent the country. But it brought me so much closer, and it showed me what football really meant. It gave me that drive to play in England, and it gives me the drive every year, you know, to keep going. Because when we're in Sierra Leone, like you say, you played in the league in Nigeria. When I'm in Sierra Leone and I see how guys are struggling in the league when they're making $100, £100 a month, that's what their salary is, and I have to be spoiled. With what we're doing here, so it gives me a drive every time I'm here. So now I don't have a team. I go there, I'm playing with those guys, and I come back, I'm happy.
Yeah, you're good, man. Yeah, no, and it's interesting hearing you say how you felt just standing there with like Thierry Henry and Drogba. Like you're just like, this is crazy, and this kind of allows me to segue into my next thing. When it comes to football, I'm good. Like I play football. I'm settled with that. This media side of stuff, or this media side of things, is a world where like I've got to navigate it all by myself and whatever. So when I'm standing on the pitch, not as a player, but someone off the back of my podcast at like the MLS All Star game, I had that same feeling. I had the same feeling of like, oh, like this is off the back of my podcast. Like I've put in the hours, and now I'm working with MLS to be in such position. So like I hear that, and that made me right. Just hearing that just made me feel like I remember that feeling. Like I'm on the pitch here, and like people are clamoring to get to you, and then I'm coming to you like, yo, what's good? Oh, MK's play. Oh, what's going on? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like in the middle of that entire event, you've got like I'm able to just come up to you and talk it up with you. I'm going to is it Boanga?
Yeah, Danny.
Boanga, yeah, me and him are like taking pictures
Yeah,
with you. You didn't know who.
the Golden Boot winner. Such a good player. Such a good player.
I didn't know him before that game. I didn't know him, so I saw him when he came on. I was like, oh, this guy's good. I was like, no, this is a player. This is a player.
What do you mean? You watched the MLS? You better watch the MLS all year. What do you mean?
But it's different. It's different when no. My knowledge on MLS is not like Premier League. I can name you 10 Burnley players. I am not naming you 10 Colorado like
Can you tell me what's going on with my Chelsea then?
What's going on with your Chelsea?
Yeah.
You know what?
No, don't.
Oh, okay. I was about to.
I don't want you to start opening the book for me, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's all doom and gloom there. I think you'll be all right this season. I think you'll get Champions League, but yeah, no. So
but what you say there, Daps, I think it just shows the work that you've done too. It shows the work that you've done and you're doing this. That's how you have to look at it. You're not just in a position to stand toe to toe with anyone, just by luck. Yes, there's a little bit of luck, but you work, in a way to be in that position, and you work in the way that you have to know even the play that you played, the football you played, the extra time you spend in the gym, the times you spend running, or the payment to that is what this is right now, this interaction.
Yeah.
It got you into the position to do something like this, to chat with all of us and to bring us into the media, front, because you've done that before and you know how to do it. And then the conversation flows because we can relate. It's not just one of those boring conversations you can just have with anybody that wants to interview you, So that's what it is. So you've done the work too. You can really, really put this to say, that run I went on, that gym work that I did, is what puts you in this seat today. It's not just saying, okay, because I'm doing a podcast or something completely different. No, what you've done before also translate to the podcast. So when, anybody that would recommend to say, hey, because when you watch it, like I said, this is just a conversation. This is me and you just talking. That's what everybody wants to listen to instead of, oh, here's the question. So how do you feel doing it?
Yes, exactly. And I always say, that if I was to sit there and interview the players on my platform, they wouldn't like it. But I like it to be a conversation. I don't want to sit there because we hear like players, like I've been there where you're giving an interview and it's all very robotic and whatnot, but sometimes
we always say you can take those interview questions or the answers from football and put it into basketball and it'll be the same answer.
Yeah.
Oh, our team worked really hard today. We try to get the ball, far, and we try to get points.
Yeah, exactly. No. I'm happy with the way I do it. But I'll talk about the MLS All-Star game just for you to, as someone that's been in the league for so long, how have you noticed? Because that event for me, I've not experienced anything like that in terms of football events. Like that All-Star event where you've got fireworks, you've got the national anthem, you've got planes flying over, you've got Brian McKnight singing national anthem. Like I've never seen anything like that in terms of football, a football event. And I'm just like, these Americans are just doing everything big. Like how have you seen things change over the years since you've been in the league? Because that was, I felt there was a buzz. And obviously Messi probably signed about 2 weeks before that. So you could feel the buzz in the air. But how have you noticed, or have you noticed the change, and how exactly has it changed over the years?
How the MLS have changed, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, 1 second. It's really not. It's really not. Thanks to Messi, but the person I give credit to the most is David Beckham. I
Oh, yeah.
believe I believe what David Beckham did for this league is so grand, and it's not just bringing Messi. What people don't remember is David Beckham played in this league. Has played in this league. It's what gave him the chance to own a team and all that. But Beckham brought the attention to Major League Soccer internationally. Everybody was talking about us, and this is not just like Messi fans, or it could be dudes from all over the world, kids. List Beckham brought everyone from
Mm,
females to pop stars to this to
yeah.
everybody.
Mm,
He's a star, and that's what he's done. I'm lucky to have said I've played in MLS for over a decade. Um, I've seen it all. I've seen all of them. I mentioned Thierry and Drogba, but Lundberg and Beckham, I played against, those guys. I'm lucky to see those transitions. I'm lucky to be here now to say, Messi's here too, to see how it is. And it's what it is. The US, Mexico, and Canada will be hosting the World Cup. Our league is just going to continue to grow, in the
mm,
next, I don't know, 8, 10 years. We're top 5 in the world. And
yeah.
people might not be ready for it, but that's what our league is going to be.
Mm. Okay, cool. So yeah, man. I'm so happy to have got this one done. Like I said before, I don't think you realize you're a big fish. So I'm hoping this one goes far, man. But thank you very much for the conversation. Um, yeah, what's next for you though? Like you mentioned you're looking for a new team. Have you actually started that, or you
Podcast.
just focus on training?
I'm looking to start up my own podcast.
Please start up later when I'm established. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You know what? You should actually. I don't know why you don't. You'd actually be really good at that.
It's so much time, man. No, next, yes, definitely being a free agent is one thing. I'm working into my off seasons, going back to Sierra Leone, doing some work with my foundation, Heart Shaped Hands Foundation,
Mm,
and just, focus on my family, spend some time with them. It's off season. That's what I have to do. But yes, I have, I don't know how many more years, but to play professionally, I definitely want to
mm,
keep playing. I love the game. I've also done my coaching badges, which I love. I will feel really bad that I take away from the game to this many years and I give back. So I do
mm.
work with some of our academies and coaching them and stuff like that. So that's something I look forward to also. But I guess we love being in the media front too, being in front of the TV and analyzing. I've done a few things for BBC during the off seasons, usually analyzing
Mm.
for the Premier League games. So, I enjoy doing all those things, but I just don't know where life takes me. But I want to focus on playing. So hopefully I play
Yeah.
again next season.
Yeah, no, hopefully. And to be honest, I think you will be there. I've seen you running around that pitch. Like you're fitter than no, you're fitter than a lot of these players. So there's
I
not going to be a
told you,
problem
man.
there.
Fanta.
Fanta. Fanta. But
That's it, orange
yeah, no,
Fanta.
I'm pretty sure as well. If you ever need to, I know Apple are really good with their showing of football. They'll be happy to have you in the studio. Um, that's my little Apple plug because I'm trying to get a gig with
I
Apple.
want,
So.
I want, I want the Sky deal, man. I want that Thierry Henry Sky deal, man.
Oh yeah, I remember that deal was crazy. That was a crazy deal. But yeah, no, on a level now. Thank you very much for this. And I've purposely not asked you how many years you got left because number one, I know you're tired of that question. But number two, like I'm not putting that out there. Like we're focusing on you getting playing next year. So
Because
that's what the focus is.
who's counting the years, man? Who's counting
Yeah,
the years? I don't have years,
yeah. Do you know what I
I got
mean?
the thing is what I say, and I listen to some of the bigger athletes at my age. It's not the number that we have in our age; it's the production, like you mentioned before. You know, I mean, yes, you look at me here in Chicago this season. I'm 39 years old. True. You look at all the numbers. The goals. I'm high on the goal chat, and I'm,
Mm.
on the running chart and all that. So my age doesn't tell anything. It
Yeah.
just tells I still play. If he can still play. Before I go, so I'll mention that because actually one of the greatest coaches in Major League Soccer, his name is his name was Ziggy Schmidt, passed away a few years ago, and the coach award is actually named after Ziggy. Ziggy once told us when I was a young player and trying to figure out who plays, he's like, you young players, you're always thinking because you're young, because you're this and that. It's like there is no young or old players. You're just
Mm.
good or bad. So it's one of those. So are you still good? You can play. If
That's
you're
it.
good, young enough, you're gonna play. You're old,
Hmm.
good enough, you're gonna play. So you're just
Yeah.
either good or bad. There's no young or old players.
Yeah. 100%. And the last thing I do want to ask you before you go as well is we spoke about Dennis Bottomguy. I was meant to say this at the time. Um, what made him so good this season? Like, because he's obviously finished top goal scorer, but you watching him, what do you think about him? What do you think it was about him that made him just have such a good season?
And he's good. Yeah, Bonga, he's a footballer. You can tell, but his style of play really does adapt to this league, to MLS. And again, he's playing in a great system in LAFC. He's living in one of the biggest, most happiest states in America, in Los Angeles. So everything works out perfectly for him. But he's a footballer. He can play, and from what he's done before and coming here, he's also a player that I can see adapting to the English league because he's a player with pace. He's not, just wants to step on the ball or kill the game. He's always on the go. He wants to go forward. He's looking to go forward. He can score from in the box, outside the box, and he's never content. And that's the
Mm,
type of guy that you want. He's never content. He always wants more. He
yeah.
doesn't argue, doesn't fight, nothing. He just wants to play football, and that's what I really like about him. And that's what gave him success in the past couple of years.
Love that, man. Love that. But yeah, once again, thank you very much for this, man. Apologies for chasing you up for so many times to get this done. Yeah, but it's been a pleasure.
All
And
good.
and those of you watching at home, make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow Kai on Instagram. He's active. He's active. There's content for you there. He's not one of those people that you follow and then just follow him for silence. No, 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 no. He's there, active for you, man. But yeah, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. This has been a shot of MLS, and
Like,
we're out.
subscribe, share, heart shaped hands, signing
Love
out.
that.
Big love, man.
Definitely want to be on the podcast.